What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of Hanging with Daddy. It's 4. This guy right here, he's 13. It's Gizmo. This is my latest foster. This is your reminder that you can get the cutest dogs ever from the shelter. Adopt, don't shop. You know what else is awesome besides Gizmo? Say hi, Gizmo. What else is awesome is our fire intro. Let's hit it because I cannot wait to get to our guest. So here we go. Gabe and team, hit and hang with Daddy.
Get down. Turn on the pod cause we looking at live right now. Peeling it back, take a quick look inside up. All of these analysts, Daddy gon' handle this. Know he's a baddie, I know he ain't bad at this. We gon' lay back, talking irrelevance. Why do all that? Just for the hell of it. Hanging with Daddy. What's the vibe though? Late night vibes. Hanging with Daddy. What's up, Mike? Turn it on right now. I got the remote now. Hanging with Daddy. Let's go. Late night vibes. And we're hanging with Daddy. Turn up. Turn it on right now. Daddy got control now.
It doesn't get old. It literally never gets old. I will dance to that song till I'm 80. Gabe absolutely crushed it. Graphics by Bob Gilchrist and Steven Roto. Just honestly, there's no better intro in the game. Now here's an intro for you. Our next guest. You know this man. You know him from drinking and talking fantasy football. You know him from BallBlast. He is the man of 1,000 voices that bring 1,000,000 smiles. And he is one of my all-time favorite people. I've had this one circled on the calendar because every time I talk to this guy, I leave just feeling warm inside. Like you have that like feeling as if you just had grandma's cookies, like you're feeling warm and happy. I've been lucky enough to guest on his show, and now I'm even luckier that he's agreed to come on mine. Let's bring him out, Mr. Jake Trowbridge. What's up, buddy?
What an introduction. I have never had so many kind words said about me in a row like that before. That was incredible.
Oh man, I'm telling you, like every time we hang out, every time we talk, like I just leave with that like feeling high, like that euphoria you get. Like, man, I love talking to this guy. So this is one that I just when you said yes, I was stoked. Like I felt like that kid in like middle school who like I hand you a note and I'm like, would you like to come on my show? Circle yes, no, maybe. And then when you circled yes, I tried not to freak out, like I was trying to look cool, but I was totally freaking out.
Cool.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Played it so cool. You did really good. I think if I could go back to middle school with you, I would have been like, this guy knows what's up. Like, this is a pretty chill dude. I guess I better get on his good side now.
well, you are, and you're here. And man, we have a lot to talk about this week. Like it's a pretty wild week. Like we just finished week 5 of the football season, and I would love to talk about the comeback by Lamar Jackson. I would love to talk about really what were some insane fantasy scores, but the headlines have been dominated by something else. And what we found out was John Gruden has resigned from the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, resigned is what rich people get to do so they don't have to tell their friends they were fired for being a racist, homophobe, sexist, terrible human being. So resigned is just a fun word for that. But man, it was a couple of days of interesting tidbits about Mr. Gruden. How are you feeling when you saw that news? It's been about a 24-hour news cycle on Gruden now. How are you feeling? You know, give me your thoughts on the John Gruden situation?
I think my big takeaway from this is that you don't obviously know what's going on behind closed doors for most anybody. You might have your suspicions, but when something like this comes to the surface and comes to the surface in the way that it did, it's impossible to run from. So, I was a little disappointed, not just in the entire situation, but also in the handling of it, because it seems that this was common knowledge amongst the club for much longer, and it took so long for them to act on it, and they only seemed to act on it because it finally blew up. They had it internally and it didn't seem like they did anything, and then it got out into the world. They're like, well, now I guess we have to. And of all of the disappointments, of which there were many, that one just keeps cycling through, because you wonder how many of these other types of things are out there that we don't know about yet. When are they going to come out, and what's going to force the change, which I think is what we all want to see. We just want to see a little bit of change, a little bit of accountability. But when it seems so forced like this, it's almost like it just seems disingenuous when it comes out in this way, I guess.
Agreed. And I think the thing that stuck out for me most, and the thing that really breaks my heart more than anything, is that it seemed as though the racism wasn't enough for the team to act. Like, when you say it blew up, what I saw was racist comments not being enough. Only until you brought in the sexism and the homophobia did we really get to a point where we were certain that John Gruden was gone. And I do think that as a community as a whole, we need to be better in not needing it to cross multiple lines. The racism in and of itself should be enough to disqualify. You're talking about a league that is over 50% African American, over 50% Black, and they deserve better. They deserve more swift action. They deserve better. And the second thing that stuck out to me, and I was talking about it on Twitter today, is the fact that as human beings, we have lost the ability to apologize. And by apologize, I mean we explain. We are very good at explaining and not very good at apologizing. So when I saw the detractors, or we'll call the John Gruden supporters, coming out and saying, don't people change? Well, change would have brought remorse and apologies, not excuses and stories, in my opinion. There are things in my past I'm not proud of. I'm sure you're the same way. But being remorseful and showing change. And then instead what you saw was 8 years of this level of communication. On top of that, having a homophobic coach coaching the only that I'm aware of openly homosexual player in the league. It couldn't have been a worse combination of things that make me disgusted and sad all in one. And that's, I guess, hopefully what most sane people's takeaways are. This is not a time we talk about wins and losses or X's and O's. This is when hopefully we deal with humanity. Now, speaking of humanity, and I want to get into, more of the entertainment and away from the football side of things. You and I seem to have both stumbled across an emotional roller coaster on Netflix.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I don't know yet. We have watched the Squid Game. That's the thing. First of all, I just want to say, I was watching Squid Game when the news actually came out about Gruden, and I didn't actually. Squid Game delayed me seeing that news by several hours because I was so engrossed in it. Which I guess is, I mean, honestly, maybe that's not the worst thing, because as bad as I felt watching Squid Game, I was so much worse seeing all that come out. But man, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
I actually finished it 3 hours ago. And the reason why I finished it 3 hours ago is because yesterday I watched the Marble episode. And I just wasn't okay. I couldn't go on. I needed a timeout. I needed to come back out of the island and into my own boring little world just to reground, because I was a puddle. I was an absolute puddle. And I wasn't ready for this. Like, I saw all the memes on Twitter but I was not ready for what it actually is. And obviously, we're trying to dance around some spoilers because it is fairly new. But man, I'm not okay.
No, I'm really not. Can I tie this together just a little bit here, or try my best to do so?
Mhm.
Is this show, for those who have not seen it, it's a great look at humanity and the worst sides of it, and at times the best sides of it, and the effects that you're left with. It's a lot of anger and sadness about kind of our fate of humanity. And that's why I do say, actually, the timing of it was pretty crazy because, again, like, I don't want to dwell on the Gruden thing, obviously, but that's some of our worst parts of humanity shining through there, because it's not just him, certainly. That's just the one that came public there, and it is the worst parts of humanity, and that's so much of what's highlighted in that show. And the moments of redemption, I think, is what we hope for, the worst people that we come across. So maybe there's time for John Gruden, for example, in the future here to learn, to genuinely grow, and to come out on the other side a better person. That's a hope at this point. But like, that show does that so well. And if you're not touched by the time you get to the Marvel episode, I think it's like 7-8 episodes in, right?
Yep.
If you're not,
I want to say it was episode 6 or 7 when we hit that part.
It's like, if you are not touched by that in some way, I have questions about you, because I was a mess after that. It's so hard to talk about this without giving spoilers, but just suffice it to say, if you watch this show, prepare to be ruined about halfway through.
Yeah. Oh, wrecked. Absolutely wrecked. And yeah, I'd never seen anything like it. And it was wild. It was certainly worth the watch, but yeah, I was not ready. I just wasn't. And obviously, you're no stranger to emotional roller coasters, being a Packers fan, and what you went through in the off season, and actually what you're prepping for the next off season. So
yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
What do you think? I mean, what do you think actually happens here? What's your prediction as a fan?
Like July, I'm thinking doomsday scenarios.
Okay.
I'm thinking he's traded immediately and swiftly to the Broncos or Houston or any of the spots that they listed as potential landing spots. I'm thinking we saw the last of Aaron Rodgers in 2020 as a Packers fan, and that stinks. And that's a bummer, because I've not been a football fan for an extremely long time. I think everybody thinks that if you are in fantasy in any aspect of it, like you've been since childhood, you were a diehard fan. That was not the case for me. In fact, my family had no ambitions to watch football unless it was the Super Bowl. And then it's like, you just did it because, you just want to see them clever commercials pop up. But other than that, it's like, we didn't care at all. We were karate kids. Like, we're all in karate growing up. Like, we didn't care about football at all. And then I move up to Wisconsin for college. And then it's like, well, these people seem to like this quite a bit. And then you just kind of get into it. But that was around the same time that Aaron was just taking over from Brett Favre.
Okay.
So he was my first and only in terms of Packer quarterbacks that I will acknowledge. I'm not going to acknowledge Brett Hundley.
That's fair. That's fair.
Acknowledge the others that have tried to step in. And so you're looking at saying goodbye to your entire experience of fandom with that guy who walks out the door or gets traded. So it's like, well, here it goes. I guess hope that Jordan Love is something. Wish him the best, and, split my time, because I will watch Aaron Rodgers wherever he goes. But now it seems like, there's a sliver of hope that maybe they can even find a way to keep him. And I know that this is what people say when they're in the stage of denial that I'm probably in right now.
Clearly. Yeah, you're in bargaining now, it sounds like.
That's right. I've moved from denial into bargaining already. But maybe there's a chance that they can keep him, which they won't. But if this is all we get, if 2021 is all we get from Aaron Rodgers with the Packers, we're on a path to another playoff and probably more playoff disappointments. But like the game from last week exemplified why it's so fun to be an Aaron Rodgers and Packers fan, at least. You know, the kicker duel between Mason Crosby and Evan McPherson from the Bengals definitely got your heart in the up and down, in the perpetual up and down there. But those types of finishes, though, are why I watch football. I think it's why most of us do watch football, is because that is more fun than an outright beatdown. You know, it's fun to have your emotions taken for a ride. And that's all he's done for the last, 5 months, 6 months. It's taken my emotions for a ride. So now it's just a wait and see.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm going through watching my former quarterback now win Super Bowls with other people. It's honestly like watching your ex-girlfriend end up with Ryan Reynolds. You want to be upset, but clearly they're happier, and it's like, well, be a good person and be happy that they're happy. So I hope you don't get that experience, because it's bittersweet, but wherever he goes, we'll hope that he's happy, and that he lands somewhere where I happen to have undervalued wide receivers. That's our goal here. So,
yeah. Wait, do you really want him to go to Houston? The only reason I'd want him to go to Houston is because Brandon Cooks talking about undervalued wide receivers. I would love for that pairing to happen somehow.
Brandon Cooks, so underrated. Give him Aaron Rodgers. Watch him take off again like he has his whole career. And Brandon Cooks becomes a top 15 dynasty wide receiver again overnight.
Love it.
But of course, Davis Mills just torched my team, so maybe he's the future. Who knows?
That was bizarre. Can we talk about that for a half second? I don't want to make you dwell on it, but like, okay, when you walked into that, or when you sat down on your couch to watch that game, okay, it's the Texans versus the Patriots. Was there any part of you that thought like, this is the day that we get shown up by a rookie quarterback?
No, I thought it was going to be 10-7. I played the Patriots in DFS because I thought that their defense would hold up. Our big fear was we were down 4 offensive linemen. So you weren't even thinking, hey, what about the passing game? What about these wide receivers I've never heard of going for 70 yards? But what I will say is, when you look at what happened with Davis Mills, call it what it is. He was shutting his eyes and throwing the ball as far as he could. And wide receivers were jumping over. It was a height advantage against our cornerbacks, but it was not good quarterback play. It was a wing and a prayer. It looked like Brett Favre at the end of his career, when he would just throw things just to see what happens. Why not? Losing playoff games for no reason in overtime, just because he wanted to throw the ball wherever he felt like. That's what Davis Mills was doing. And they were some ridiculous catches, some circus catches. But yeah, our defense was beyond horrific. And I forget who it was. There was someone on Twitter that said, what's the opposite of a moral victory? Like, that's what we had. We actually won the game, but we're super sad at how bad our team was. I think the quarterback play was fine. I think Mac Jones is great. But we do this, like, we'll play the Bucs tough, and then we'll sink to the Texans level. Who knows with this team, but I'll be honest, at this point, I'm more cheering for the draft pick, just because I don't see this team being much of a competitor, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to be a whiny Patriots fan. We had 20 years. We're good here. So
good. I'm proud of you for acknowledging that. At least it's hard. I think for some folks. Wouldn't it be something though if they actually drafted their tight end of the future in this next draft? Would that be something?
That would be weird, because I thought we just paid for 2 of them. And
it's the only dig I can even get into a Patriots fan at this point. Is like, you guys didn't do very well with tight ends lately. Hope you enjoy that massive amount of rings that you've had over the years.
Yeah, we're kind of it's hard to really come at us right now. But I will tell you, I guess we had opposite experiences. I became a Patriots fan in like 1985, and we were before like the Browns existed. Like we were the Browns. Our stadium was trash. I used to have to go to a bar with my dad, even though I was like 5, to watch the game because they had a satellite dish. And I know that kids nowadays don't quite understand the struggles in life, but they used to black out the games because not only did we not sell out, there was like 50 people there. And we did make a Super Bowl in '86 and got embarrassed. Like it was the worst Super Bowl performance in the history of Super Bowl performances. And then again, as you know, or I'm not sure, I'm guessing you probably know the history of it, but then got embarrassed by Desmond Howard in '97 by the Packers, and we lost that one. So basically, I earned 20 years of happiness by going through the 18 years of crotch kicks that led me to the 20 years of happiness. These young kids, though, they didn't earn any of it, and I hope you suffer because I'm ready. I've run this race before, so we'll be fine. Now, on the other hand, for you, the Packers haven't sucked in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the argument is 2 rings over the span of 2 Hall of Fame quarterback careers, and that's always the knock. It's like, do you realize how many teams would kill for one of those rings over that entire span? It's hard to feel too down on yourself. And that's why you say, like, you should have to experience that heartbreak, I think, a little bit. And I haven't. And that's why I know my time is coming. And so
Yep.
I do deserve this. I deserve Aaron Rodgers to be elsewhere because I deserve to have to suffer for a few years. I get it.
And we'll looks like we'll be suffering together, and it'll be beautiful. It'll be
Yeah.
nice, and somehow the Cleveland Browns will be a good team, and it'll feel like opposite day, which is fine.
Wait until the Detroit Lions go make their run for the championship next year somehow, some way.
Yeah, I don't know if I can
Force
hold
us all
on
to
long
suffer.
enough for the Lions to actually win a championship. Like I'm getting up there in age, and I mean, with the rate that they're going, it could be a good 50 years before they see a title game.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very possible.
I think we both agree Detroit has suffered enough. Like Detroit has suffered enough.
Give them some reprieve, man. You
Give them
deserve it,
something.
Detroit. And I don't say that often, but I'll say it now.
They do. All right, so talk to me. You're here. Obviously, the thing that makes you you is the voices. You have Jake does impressions on YouTube. You're obviously putting out music when they're not chasing you for copyright laws, and putting out the voices all the time. Where'd you find this? And more importantly, you get asked for voices all the time, but what's your favorite one to do?
Oh, that's a great question. Nobody ever asked me what my favorite is. They just want to hear their favorite all the time. So I love that you asked that. But to the prelude part of it, like, I got into this out of boredom, man. Like, the pandemic hit a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And some people found, hobbies that they didn't think of before. And that's me. It's like, I'm working from home now, and I find myself with a lot of time on my hands. I'd always done a couple of low-grade impressions as a kid. Like, I like to try and do Christopher Walken when I was, in my high school years and stuff, or whatever. But like, I just one day was like, I don't offer anything especially unique to the fantasy industry at that time. It's like, I'd like to do something different. Nobody needs to hear me talk analytics right now. You can get that from anywhere and from much better sources.
And you should get it from Dynasty League Football, by the way, dynastyleaguefootball.com. Grab your subscription, but go ahead. That's a good place for your analytics.
That's a pro right there. Yes, you can absolutely do that. So that was not my range. Of course, I try my best. I like to think that I'm okay at this, but that's not my bread and butter. I want to offer something different. And people were depressed. I mean, myself included, like, start of the pandemic, halfway through the pandemic. Now, I mean, people are just depressed. Like, it sucks. So how can I enliven some people, myself included, of course? How can I try and make myself smile, make other people smile? I just started honkering around with a couple of impressions. Start off with Morgan Freeman, because I just love that dude. And I was like, I'm going to make a video about like I'll narrate like some fantasy football thing like Shawshank Redemption. That'll be fun. I never did that, but I tried the voice and I thought, well, the voice is fun. So then I just started throwing them out on Twitter, and I'd ask people like, make requests. Like if you want me to like analyze your team or trash talk somebody for you, like let me see if I can do a voice, and we'll find it out together, because I didn't really know. And the music videos was the same thing. Like I think every freshman in college broke out a guitar at some point and tried to sing a song to somebody. But I always knew I'm not a good singer. But I was like, oh, I'll try and do the voice though, because if I sound enough like the voice, nobody cares if I'm actually a good singer. It's the karaoke principle,
Absolutely, 100%.
Go to karaoke, and I love karaoke. And so you go to karaoke, it's like nobody cares if I'm good. They just want me to try hard and maybe try and sound like the person a little bit.
And don't sing a slow song. Just don't. If you're thinking, hey, I want to sing a slow song in karaoke, don't. I don't even care if you crush it. I still hate you.
I hate you, especially if there's like a 60-second musical interlude where you just have to stand there. Nobody needs that.
Super awkward.
Day.
Yeah, just either you're dancing because it's upbeat, or you're done. Just stop.
But that is absolutely the principle that apparently my entire little Twitter experience is based off of. Is just try hard, try to be entertaining. Don't do anything too outside your range. And so it just kind of happened. And I keep doing it because I don't know, people like it enough, and I like doing it a lot. I'm like, I'd rather be doing this than poring over spreadsheets.
That's fair. Now, your favorite one. What is your favorite one to do?
I think my favorite has become Bill Burr. Like, he's got such a specific way of talking, and like, no, I just hadn't found anybody that did an impression of comedian Bill Burr before. I was like, I'd like to try that. I sure would. And then now every time I do it, it just feels like I get to let things off my chest in a way that I wouldn't normally, because like his voice, his whole aura is just, he's got grievances and he wants people to hear them. And so you naturally get to let that out.
So what's funny is, as we talked about earlier, I'm from Boston. If anyone hasn't picked up on that yet, you haven't been listening to how I talk. And I remember you came out, and obviously we talk outside of just podcasts. So if you guys think you've heard all of me and Jake's conversations, you would be incorrect. But I remember you had mentioned Bill Burr, and I love you, and I am always going to be supportive of you. And I thought, oh no, he's going to try to do a Boston guy. And I'm going to hate it. And I know it. It's going to be Diane Lane in The Perfect Storm all over again. Diane Lane, I still haven't forgiven you. I know it's been 24 years. I'm not over it yet. Nobody talks like that. And you did Bill Burr so perfectly. Like, it was amazing. So it's funny because you say everyone talks about their favorite. Bill Burr is actually my favorite of yours. So we actually match on our favorites.
I love that so much. All I've ever wanted to do is make you proud. I mean, not all. Like, in the last year and a half, all I've wanted to do is make you proud.
All right, so here's what I'm going to ask. And, it's figure, hey, it's my show. I get to ask questions. That's the coolest thing. Can you do me a favor?
Of course.
Can you give me a quick Bill Burr catch hanging with Daddy on the Dynasty League Football YouTube channel? You got it in you?
I think I can try.
Let's see what we got. I like to put people on the spot.
Hey, dummies, what are you doing out there? You're watching some stupid little TV show you've seen a million times already? You could be out here hanging with Daddy and enjoying yourself more than you ever thought you could. Come check him out on YouTube. You're going to love it. He's going to make you laugh. And if not, there's worse things you could do with your time.
I had to mute myself and bite my own finger so I didn't laugh over your impression. Oh, it's amazing. It is absolutely amazing. One of my favorite comedians, one of my favorite people doing my favorite comedian. You made my life. That's amazing.
I'm so happy that I could make you happy in that moment.
Oh, you absolutely did. Now, of course, you know my other favorite thing besides impressions. And if you've watched this show, I hope you came prepared. Because this is the big time,
As
Jake.
prepared as anybody can be. Let's be
Well,
honest.
this is the big time. Because this is where you get to tell me about your favorite sandwich.
If I am going from the Madison, Wisconsin standard that I live by, there are few restaurants around here that can crush a Reuben, but when I find a good one, I love it. I love it so hard, and I put it into my memory banks forever. My favorite sandwich, I honestly think, is a Reuben.
I like it. I like it. A Reuben's a tough order because, man, if you miss on a Reuben, you know the bread's too hard. It's crumbling on you. Like I need my Reuben to have a little floppiness to it. Like I can't have it overly crusted.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
hit this point where it's not a Reuben, like it hasn't been cooked properly,
Mhm.
or it's a overcooked panini. But in between the two is where the magic lives. And if someone could hit the magic spot, oh yeah, no, I get the shivers.
And rubbery corned beef is the worst thing in the world. And if you don't chunk it right, some people like do it like strips, like it's supposed to be a regular sandwich. It's like, no, you got to chop that. You got to chop that up. You got to make that, fall apart in my mouth as I'm biting. Otherwise, it's a disaster. I think what I like about this sandwich that I just found out from listening to you right now is it's about the pursuit of excellence with this sandwich more than anything else. It's an adventure when I tried this sandwich.
You just never know what you're going to get. When you talk about the Reuben or the Cuban, we're rhyming here. These are sandwiches that you have to hit. You get a turkey sandwich, you're going to be okay. You get a club, you'll be fine. It doesn't matter who's making it, you'll be just fine. But the Reuben, you're right. A chop, not too much dressing, but not too little. You need to hit there's a sweet spot that you have to find with the Reuben, or else realistically it's a bad experience and probably an overpaid one as well, because the Reuben does not tend to come cheap in the sandwich shops.
That's very true. And dry Reuben. Can you even with the dry Reuben? Like, what did I get myself into with this? Why did I even come to you if you're going to give me something that's mealy and dry? It's gross.
Yeah, I mean, what were they thinking? Like, what thought goes through your head that says this is something I can serve to people, and no one's going to notice? Like, no one is going to pick up on the fact that you have to dip your Reuben in water just to bring it down, like you're Joey Chestnut during the freaking hot dog eating contest. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't want that. I want to enjoy my sandwich. I shouldn't need a beverage with a properly cooked sandwich.
We are two hearts united, as I suspected. I love it.
Of course. So, Jake, what do people need to know is coming up this season for you? What do you want them to know? This is your time to say whatever, because let's face it, nobody watches the show. We've probably already gone too far for what my bosses want. We're playing with house money. So you could pretty much say anything at this point, and I think we're okay. So anything. Go ahead, Mike, yours.
Let me tell you the problems that I have with the Disney Corporation. And this is where we just cut out. Like, this is where we aren't even in control. They just remove us from the internet.
We just get booted.
No, I'm just hanging around. I'm having a great time. I'm trying to keep everything as light as possible this fantasy season because, like, we get into week 6 now. We're heading into people start to get combative. People have been combative. It's nice to try and just keep a level head, stay above the fray. So that's what I'm doing on all the podcasts, the DTFF, the BallBlast. I was lucky enough, Chris Harris invited me on to do a DFS segment weekly with him on the Harris Football Podcast. That's been so enjoyable.
Big time.
And I'm still working on putting out more of the music stuff, of the impression stuff. There's something brewing, I think, that's going to be really awesome. I can't quite get to saying it just yet because it's not finalized, and I always hate that, by the way. I hate the guys like, something's really cool, but I can't talk about it yet. So why don't you just wait until you can talk about it?
But you just did that. No, that's okay. If I knew how to edit, I would edit it out. I don't, so it's going to stay in. But if somehow between now and when this goes live, I don't even know when that is, I learn how to edit, I'll take it out.
Yeah. Oh, good.
But I'll leave the part where you went on a rant about it, so people think you're talking about them instead of yourself.
Oh, that's perfect. That's
right?
Perfect. This is why you're in the host chair, my friend.
And yet I don't know how to edit, but here we are. All right, so you have all the things we listed, and then a big thing that you don't want to talk about, and yet you spent the last 2 minutes talking about it. Anything else?
Can I just take 5 more minutes to talk about the thing that I'm not supposed to talk about yet?
Yeah. Do you want to like dance around it, kind of like we did with Squid Game, where like it's like we're playing that game where you have the 5 illegal words, but you're still supposed to like get your partner to guess?
Ooh. This is exactly taboo. The entire episode is just a game of taboo that we can't actually say the things that we want to say.
What if I guess the thing that you're doing? What if we play 20 questions and I figured it out?
Oh my gosh. Is anybody going to like this besides us? Let's
Probably
find
not.
out.
Let's figure it out. Okay, cool.
Let's try it.
Okay, so this big thing that you're doing, will you be clothed?
Yes, by contract, I think I have to be.
Okay. Does it involve animals?
Not unless I specifically make that decision.
Okay. Will it be done live?
In a way, isn't everything done live?
I think so. That was philosophical.
But no, it will not.
Will it involve sandwiches?
Before and or after, but not during.
Okay, cool. Because that would make us rivals, and
sure,
that could get ugly. And to be honest, I've kind of got a pretty good head start on that, so you would have lost, but that's cool. That's all I got. So I am gonna guess that you are forming a boy band with Chris Harris, Denny Carter, and Scott Fish.
People are going to think this is rehearsed and that I sent that to you over ahead of time and you just happened to guess it. But he actually guessed that exactly live on air. So, but yeah, we're actually forming a group. It's called 99 Degrees. Our hope is that we're just literally one hotter than the one you might have recalled from the late 90s there.
And who wouldn't recall that wonderful band?
Heathens.
Perfect. Well, I cannot wait for your new boy band, 99 Degrees. I will make sure that I subscribe to them on iTunes or steal your music on Napster if that's still a thing. I will find out shortly. Yeah, no, it's cool. I plenty of viruses on the computer anyway. I mean, this well, this episode went over because we played 20 questions, a game that no one expected. But this was an absolute blast, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Like it's amazing how you have high expectations and it still gets exceeded on how much you can laugh, how much you can smile during one episode. I appreciate it. Next week, we have Chris Allen coming on. And I don't know when I'm going to run out of friends. I'm getting very close to running out of friends.
Sure.
And then this show might end. But for right now, I still have a couple more friends that are willing to come on, which is pretty amazing. But dude, thank you so much. And you know what I think we should do? We should probably listen to that song one more time. Like I just feel like it deserves a second listen.
Yeah,
all right,
let's do it.
Check him out
buddy.
At Jake Trowbridge, the best person out there for impressions, BallBlast football, drinking and talking fantasy. Still Tuesday nights for you guys, right? Are you guys recording on Tuesday nights or still whenever you feel like it?
Correctamundo, Tuesday night, 6:30 Central Time.
Love it. 7:30 Eastern for those people who live in the right places of the world. And now we're going to exit with our song. Jay, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Here we go.
Get down. Turn on the pod cause we looking at live right now. Peeling it back, take a quick look inside. All of these analysts, daddy gon' handle this. Know he's a baddie, I know he ain't bad at this. We gon' lay back, talking irrelevance. Why do all that? Just for the hell of it. Hanging with daddy. What's the vibe though? Late night vibes. Hanging with daddy. What's up, Mike? Turn it on right now. I got the remote now. Hanging with daddy.